Today we will be taking a look at King Ghidorah, Godzilla. Hey G-fans, GojiFan93 here, and welcome back to day 18 of the Godzilla-thon. Today we will be taking a look at Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, 1991. And the only thing I have to represent this film is my little Treadmaster King Ghidorah figure. That's all I have of 1991. I really don't have anything else. So I actually don't even think I have any Mecha King Ghidorah figures at all. So, anyways, this movie is another classic in the Heisei series. It's also one of my favorites in the Heisei series. But man, is this movie crazy. It's like, what they do in this film is just boom. I mean, it's crazy what they do in it. So, I mean, there's time travel, there's sci-fi elements into it. It's just pure chaos of a movie, because the first time viewing this film, I was so confused because I was like, little and watching this film, and I'm like, wait, what? Why is Godzilla now a dinosaur and all this stuff? It's blah, it's just blah. And even still watching it for the third, I think this is probably like the 10th billionth time I've seen this film, but this is probably the third time I've seen it all the way through from beginning to end, and I'm still confused of like what goes on in this film and what they were trying to do with it. So, but I'll try my best to talk about it. But, okay, where do I start? Wow. So, basically, the story goes as people from the future come back to Japan, and they tell Japan that Godzilla is going to just decimate their country, and it's going to wipe Japan off the face of the earth, because Godzilla just gets so strong. So what they end up doing is that they try and get a team together. One of the main characters, or the main protagonist, is this sci-fi writer, and he predicted a lot of things that were going to happen in the future. Yeah, who'd have guessed? So they get him along with some other people. They get, forgot her, Emmy, the one who had the ESP power. She can she's like a main character throughout the whole series, and she has like the telekinesis power or something. Sometimes she can communicate with stuff, and it's just really cool things. But anyway, so they get the team together, and what they end up doing is that they have to go back to 1944 on Lagos Island when the American forces were attacking the Japanese forces that were still on that island. But then what happened is that a dinosaur came up, or a Godzilla-saur came up, and eradicated the American forces there, thus saving the Japanese forces. And then what happened in 1954, or fast forward to 1954, obviously the nuclear testing happened, and that same Godzilla-saur became Godzilla. So what they end up doing is that they have to go to the island, they have to take the Godzilla, they have to put him somewhere else, and what they end up doing is, because these people from the future, what they end up wanting to do is they want to recreate what Japan is. Like, they don't like the way Japan has built up their civilization, so these people from the future came back so that they can rebuild it the way they want to. And so they don't really want to destroy, they don't really want to take over, they just want to rebuild Japan in the way that they feel fit. So because they're going to betray the Japanese people, or double-cross them, what they end up doing is that they have 3 little Dorats, and these things are like the most adorable things. But so what they end up doing is that they end up putting them out on the island, and what happens is after that, so basically they replaced the Godzilla-saur with these 3 Dorats. And since Godzilla's not there, but yet they still did the nuclear testing in 1954, therefore King Ghidorah happened. So those 3 little Dorats come together, which I guess explains why he has 3 heads. Okay. But it's like these things here, like, my mind just goes crazy, because then you think, okay, well, that means 1954 Godzilla never happened, 1984 Godzilla never happened, and Godzilla vs. Biollante never happened, because that Godzilla did not exist. I don't know, but that's what they're saying. And another thing that I noticed, probably the second time viewing this film, I noticed that, if you guys think about it, you know how King Ghidorah is a space monster? Well, if they said in this one that those 3 Dorats were genetically manufactured, which means they were kind of like mutants in a way, and then because King Ghidorah was mutated, well, into, the King Ghidorah we know from the nuclear bomb, doesn't that mean King Ghidorah is actually a mutant in the Heisei series? Right? I mean, I've never heard anyone say that, so I thought about it. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. So, because he never really came from space. I mean, these aren't spacemen. These are people from the future. Not spacemen. People from the future, still on Earth. So, I don't know. I guess in the Heisei series, they just really wanted to change up King Ghidorah's backstory, which I think is really cool. So anyways, yeah, King Ghidorah is now the big problem, and Japan's going, oh my god, what are we going to do? Well, turns out, it doesn't matter where you put Godzilla because there's nuclear radiation everywhere. Because it's a message saying that humans are bad and nukes are being built everywhere and it's terrible. But anyways, so yeah, Godzilla becomes stronger with 20th century nuclear radiation compared to 1954's, power of radiation or whatever. So this Godzilla is way bigger, way meaner, and way more powerful. And to add to it, there was a submarine that ran into Godzilla, which even gave him more strength. So perfect, right? So what they end up doing is that Godzilla ends up going straight for King Ghidorah. They sit King Ghidorah on him, and they have an awesome battle. And I love this fight. This fight is awesome. It's pure. It's just pure Godzilla goodness of a monster brawl. I love it. And also we get Akira Ifukube's music back. He comes back to compose the rest of the films, except for Space Godzilla. But he comes back for this film. It's classic. It's just right at home as a Godzilla movie. Yeah, obviously Godzilla kicks King Ghidorah's ass. And up until this point, you would think that the movie would be done by now because Godzilla disposes of the future men and that's it, right? Well, now the humans have another problem. Godzilla's back, so now they gotta figure out how to deal with him. So they're like, well, what are we gonna do? I got it, let's bring back King Ghidorah. So they're just going back and forth between like, let's bring that monster back, let's bring this guy back, and just, it's like non-stop flip-flop. And but what they end up doing with King Ghidorah is that they end up turning him into Mecha King Ghidorah. So they go into the future to grab the dead corpse of King Ghidorah, which is still somewhat alive. They bring him back, revive him as Mecha King Ghidorah to go fight Godzilla. Complete role reversal with these two monsters. First, Godzilla was kind of a good guy taking care of King Ghidorah. Now, Godzilla's the bad guy taking care of, and Mecha King Ghidorah is the good guy trying to take care of Godzilla. And in the meantime, there was this general who was part of the Japanese forces on Lagos Island, and now he's a dinosaur expert kind of guy. And what happens is Godzilla goes right up to his building, and there we get this scene. And I know a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. It's like one of the classic scenes. Also, probably one of the most funniest scenes in a way, if you think about it. So Godzilla just looks at this guy, and they have like this stare down. There's like sad music playing, and he's just going, "You were the monster or you were the dinosaur that saved me, but now it's ironic because now you're destroying my city. Thanks." But so he's crying. Godzilla's kind of like looking at him. Godzilla's kind of like, I don't know if Godzilla felt anything. I mean, Godzilla's probably just looking at him going, why is that guy staring at me? But then it just turns out to be a big old, yoink, and just blows him up. Godzilla does a roar, and he's just, the guy's just like crying, and all of a sudden he just gets blown up. I think he knew he was going to die anyways. But that's just a really funny part. That part kind of comes out of nowhere. But yeah, so, the rest of the movie just plays out as a normal Godzilla film. King Ghidorah, Mecha King Ghidorah fights Godzilla. They both end up in the ocean, and that's it. And they go back into their own time, and then there we go. Yay, happy ever after, or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, this film is it's just so crazy what they do with it, and I love it because up until this point in the Godzilla franchise, we've been getting really good stories. We got Godzilla 1984 and Biollante, which was a very original, well, not original, but very interesting storyline. And this, once again, we get a very interesting storyline. So I mean, the Heisei series is doing fantastic so far. Yeah, so that's really all I can say. It's once again, I tried my best to talk about the story. It's still kind of confusing, and there's a lot of loopholes. There's a lot of plot holes that are in this, and you can nitpick and do all this stuff. But ultimately, it's still probably one of the best Godzilla movies. I love it to death. I could watch this movie again and again. I cannot wait for this one to come out on Blu-ray on May 6th. I cannot wait to get it. So yeah, but that's really all I got for this one. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for tomorrow for Godzilla vs. Mothra, or Godzilla and Mothra Battle for Earth, and I'll see you guys then. Stay big, G fans.